I don't think it's me this time. All right, while you guys are figuring that out, we're gonna get started here on participles. So a participle is a verbal adjective, right? That means that its job, yeah, I think it might be on your end. Somebody else want to weigh in there? It means it describes a noun. It also agrees with the noun in gender, number, and case, right? Seems fine? Okay. All right, so a participle is going to basically act like an adjective. So the first thing you need to know is how to make the participles, or how to recognize the participles if you've got a Latin sentence. So let's take, we'll go with the standard kind of, we'll go with pono. Right, pono, ponere, posui, and positus, to put or place, right? So pretty standard verb here, third conjugation, okay? So to make the participles, right? Each one's got its own little set of rules. Most important thing to remember is that you use the second principal part, a little bit of the first, but really it's the second and the fourth that are doing the work for you when it comes to participles. So the first participle we talked about, present active, right? That is the present stem plus ns, right? So think of the present stem as basically, for all intents and purposes, chopping off the re here. So for this verb, that's going to give you ponanes, right? So take off the re here. It's long because of the pronunciation. Don't get too, worried about that. The genitive would be ponentis, right? Which makes it a third declension adjective, one termination to be exact. And it means putting or placing. So the rule for these present active participles, we said for the different conjugations, is you basically got ons, ains, or eanes. Those are your options, right? Depending on the conjugation, you've got ons, ains, and eanes. Those are your go-tos, okay? Now, if you were to put it into a sentence, you might be describing someone who's putting something somewhere. So you could say, puella librum in mensa ponens. Matrem vocavit. Right? You might have a sentence that looks something like this, right? So my participle here is ponens. Mark, that would be terrible. So my participle here is ponens. It's describing the puella. How do I know that it is the girl who's putting something versus the mother who's putting something? And you guys tell me if you want to do this Q&A style, or you want me to just keep on talking. It is entirely up to you. Because they agree, right? It does not matter where they are in the sentence, although there are some, sort of tried and true patterns. Typically, the participle will be towards the end of the clause, right? The lag is gone. We will allow OMG. Apparently OMG was being blocked. So now when we go to translate this sentence, all the normal rules of sentences still apply. You have a subject, you have a verb, you have whatever else you have. So the puella here is nominative, so she's my subject. So the girl She is technically a putting girl. She's being described as putting, but, you know, that sounds really weird in English, so we can put it first. The girl putting librum, that's your direct object here. We don't want to say is putting because it's not our verb, right? Our verb here is wokawit. So this is why I told you guys the easiest way to do this, the most general way that works, is to add that word like who. So the girl who was putting the book, and I guess this should be in mensam, she was putting it onto the table. She was putting the book, the girl who was putting the book on the table. Now, all of that, right, that whole thing is extra. We don't need to know that, right? That's what the participle tells us. It gives me more information about the girl. So you could think of her as the putting the book on the table girl, in the same way you could think of her as a tall girl or a nice girl. The putting the book on the table girl, we still haven't gotten a verb yet. Our verb here, as it often is at the end of the sentence. So what did the girl do? Matrem wokawit. What did she do? Called her mother. And ponanes is present active. Excellent. So I'm going to show you all the different ways. And Bix, that's a good one as well. The commas are good. So we could say, let's see how many different ways we could translate this sentence. Let's start with the who. The girl who was putting the book on the table called her mother. That is one way we could do it. Bump this down to the next page. We don't want to add a room here. So the girl who was putting the book on the table, you could simply say the girl putting the book on the table called her mother. Yeah, Mark. That's the sort of secret one. That's like the advanced. You could say the girl, while putting the book on the table, called her mother. We could also take that while. I guess we could technically go with although. We could say while putting the book on the table, the girl called her mother. English can also do that as well, especially if it's the subject to kind of put it at the beginning. All of those are 100% fine translations. The closest one, the one that makes you take the shortest leap, would be number 2, right? Because we're just translating the participle, just ing, putting, right? The girl putting the book on the table. If this were German, we'd do it this way. We would say the putting the book on the table girl. We would make that into one super word, called her mother. Of course, that one's not very good English. But that is the idea, right? You're describing this girl as the putting the book on the table girl. That's who she is, as opposed to some other girl, right? The book called her mom who was putting a table inside a girl. I'm not crazy about that particular translation. And Mark, since it's coming from you, people will actually think it's accurate. They will certainly believe it if it comes from the Harvard Kurtaman MVP himself, right? So that's what a president... Oh, I know. I'm just saying, if you told me something, I'd be like, yeah, Mark told me. That seems pretty accurate. I'm only pointing that out because some people will read the chat without listening to me. And they'll see, hey, take it somewhere else, people. All right, perfect passive. Perfect passive. This is, and I haven't seen anything in the chat yet, but the perfect passive participle, how do you make it? What is it? It is the fourth principal part. don't have to do anything to it. It is positus a right? And it means something or someone that's been placed, right? Or put somewhere. You'll see on the worksheets, I'll do this. I'll take the bold out of there, but sometimes you'll see it defined this way because it is sort of the very standard way to add that having been at the beginning to make sure that everybody knows that it's perfect passive. It's a little bit dated, it's a little bit old school. It can certainly work, but the most important thing is that you get placed correctly. So now we're going to come back to our sentence and say mater librum in mensam positum. And let's throw in, let's make it a little bit more interesting. Present active. All four participles, Sloan. We're doing present active, perfect passive, future active, future passive. All four participles are fair game. Yep. So what are we thinking for this sentence? All right, we've got a participle here. In positum, there's my perfect passive. Mater librum in mensam apuella positum vidit. Subject and verb always run the show. So my subject here is the mater, the mother. My verb here at the end, vidit. So no matter what you do in the sentence, it still needs to be built around the fact that the mother saw. That is that's the crux of the sentence, right? That's the skeleton. Librum here in the accusative case, so that's the direct object. The mother saw the book. Now we have a few ways that we can deal with positum, right? I know that positum is describing librum. They agree with each other. Nouns and adjectives, that's what they do. We could go just as simple as just saying saw the book placed. There's our participle. Placed on the table by the girl. That is the most basic translation we can go for. Now, Mark, you've done the Who translation, right? Which is awesome. I'm fine with you saying the book which was placed. I'm not going to die on that mountain in 8th grade COVID pandemic Latin. Technically, the mother saw the book in the past, which had been placed on the table by the girl. That is technically the most correct translation. Because it's a perfect participle, and then we're already in the past, right? So my verb is perfect, my participle is perfect, perfect plus perfect is pluperfect. But I am 100% okay with you saying the mother saw the book which was placed on the table by the girl. You could also say the mother saw the book after it had been placed on the table by the girl. Any of those would work, and I'm going to be very lenient when it comes to all of these different ways that you can translate these participles. Yeah, had been does kind of sound fancy. The most important thing for you to get across in your translation is that the thing that was placed is the book. that must come across in your translation. Even if it's a little bit clunky with the helping verbs or with the extra words, I'm going to be pretty lenient. But you got to convey to me that that book is the thing that was put on the table, right? That's what I'm looking for in your translations. I'm not going to say, well, you said has been placed when you should have said had been placed. We're good. We're good. We'll get there, right? That takes a little bit more practice. The next one is and I'm just going to share this doc with you guys later, so don't worry about that. The next one is the future active participle. That is going to start as the fourth PP, but what am I going to do? Yeah, Jaden, where am I going to put that UR? Right before the ending. So you can think of it as the fourth principal part just ending in urus aum instead of in us aum. And absolutely, your future active participle would be positurus aum. And your translation for this participle, there are a few ways to do it. I'd say the official one versus the sort of slangier unofficial ones that I am fine with some people using would be what? We can't really describe somebody as will do something. You can't say, hey, look at that person. I mean, you could, the person who will do it, but I want it to be more adjective-y. Yeah, Finn is good. The sort of standard translation that you're going to see all the time is about to, right? About to put or about to place. Going to, gonna, right? That's the idea, is not somebody who will do something, because that's pretty nebulous, right? I will leave my home at some point. But if I say I'm about to leave, I'm bouncing, right? So about to, going to kind of gives that sense that it's happening rather soon. So keeping up with our amazing sentence here, let's say, I want to do something other than nominative or accusative. Let's say, let's bring the brother in. Cum librum posi. So let's do cum puella librum positura. And let's see, brother. What's the brother doing with his sister? He's speaking with her, talking to her. We'll do something fancy for you. Sermonem. Dante, what's the expression with sermonem to have conversation? Is it just habet? Sermonem habere? I think so. That looks pretty good. Habeo seems fine. You guys heard it first from Dante. All right, so this positura is describing the girl. Yeah. The brother is having a conversation with a girl who is about to place the book somewhere. It's not the very most exciting thing in the world. I just want to keep the same verb every time. And I'm making these up. That's on my head. So the bro is having a conversation, right? Frater, he's my subject. Habet, it's my verb. Yeah, he's talking. This would be a way that you would say having a conversation with, talking to. Whatever expression you want to use in English. They're chatting. The brother was chatting, fraternizing. That's right. The brother is having a conversation with the girl who is going to place the book. I guess I could keep it up with the in mensam if we really want to keep the through line. Book on the table. We don't want to mess with the lore of our sentence, I guess. And that's pretty much the only way to translate. I mean, you could change about to going to, but when you're dealing with this future active participle, it's really hard not to do the who translation. The brother is having a conversation with the about to place the book on the table girl. Sounds really bad. He's having a conversation with a girl about to place a book on the table. That even sounds weird to me because I would ask who's about to do it, right? So if you said the brother is having a conversation with a girl about to place a book on a table, it could be confusing whether or not it's the brother who's putting it on the table or it's the girl. I know we're going in the weeds right now, but the nice thing about Latin is that this word is going to tell you exactly who it's describing, no matter where you put it. If it is ablative singular, it has to be describing an ablative singular, right? So the cases make it crystal clear who's doing it, right? And in this case, it's the girl. The other way you'll see these future active participles would be a sentence like this. Something as simple as puella positura est, right? And that would just mean the girl is about to place. I'm going to put a ... because I could fill in more details. The brother be having a conversating with the girl who's finna place the book on the table. You know it. Right? When you see it like this, where it's just hanging out with est, or if I were to make it plural and I could say puellae positurai sunt, right? The girls are about to place. That's another way that you could see these participles used. And I'm surprised that Mark or Dante have not thrown a giant, scary grammar word in the chat. Let's see if it'll be a race to see who puts that word in first. This is the future active participle. It's the same participle, Sloan. It's just we're pairing it with est. There it is. This construction is what's called a paraphrastic. Again, big scary word, doesn't really mean anything. Chicken tikka masala, there we go. It basically just means this becomes the main verb. The girl is about to place. And then I can give it a direct object and then we're good to go. The est makes it a complete sentence. So if I were to say, for instance, and I'll change up the lore here, but if I was to say puer ambulaturus est, the boy is about to walk. That is a complete sentence, right? Yeah, you might see one of the sentences have something like this. I am going against the sentence lore. My DM will be hearing about this, okay? I guess I'm the DM in this situation. So I rule everything anyway. So again, Sloan, all this means is, you know, we're making it a complete sentence. I don't need any other verb here other than est. You're literally saying the boy is an about to walk boy, or he is a boy about to walk. Any of those would be fine. I just want to show you guys how this participle, particularly this participle, gets used. The est is added to make it a complete sentence, absolutely. Because if I don't, and I just say puella positura, now I just have a noun and an adjective, right? Now I'm just saying, I'm starting my sentence by saying, the about to place girl, and I got nothing, right? I got no verb. Yeah, if I'm just asking you to make the participle, you do not need to add est. Absolutely. Man, I guess I should just share this right now. Private only to me. Can I just get the link? Can I put a link in here? Yeah. You need a verb to have a complete sentence, otherwise you have a sentence fragment. Absolutely. Exactly. Do the opposite, like go English to Latin translation? Oh, it's access denied? Come on. How about just anyone? There we go. Anyone with the link. You guys should be good. Hey, I should have done that a while ago. Okay. And the final participle. Oh, look at that. We in here. The final participle, the future passive participle. This one, we're going to go back to our present stem. And we're going to add NDUS. Us, And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. So basically, we're chopping off the RE. We're going back to this second principal part, right? Chop off the RE. So we get pona. And then we add, so there's pona, and then we add endus, And that would be something that must be placed. So because we're dealing with conjugations and we're dealing with second principal parts, we basically have three options. We have ondus, endus, or eendus. Those are our options. So ondus is obviously going to be first conjugation, endus is going to be second and third, and eendus is going to be third IO and fourth. This is, which form is this called? Future passive participle. Right. So ponendus is something that must be placed. Really, the only time you're going to see this participle used is with est, right? The most common appearance of this would be with est. So, liber in mensam ponendus est. So what do we think we mean with that sentence? Jaden, that was a little Yoda-y. Yeah. The book must be placed on the table. It would be really weird and pretty rare to just have one of these floating in a sentence. You're really sticking to the lore, Jaden. We're taking that table, we're starting, we're finishing. The book on the table, that would need to be, if you wanted to say the book which is on the table must be placed, number one, that's weird, because it would be weird to just say the book must be placed, right? You would probably want to say where it needs to be placed. And also, if the book is sitting on the table, we might do something like this. We probably throw a second participle in it and maybe say something like the book, which is lying on the table, must be placed must be placed on the, where we want to put it. Must be placed on the chair. The book, which is lying on the table, must be placed on the chair. And then we could do two participles in one sentence. You know it. Gerundives are like a whole different ballgame. We don't want to go down that road. They look the same, but they are different. Oh, we do not have the bandwidth, time to chat about gerundives as much as I would love to, and we can do that absolutely another time if you are super curious. Will the test be the practice test? Exactly. In terms of the format, Jaden, yes. Because what I did is I took the original test and I copied the document and just erased some questions and changed the ones that were left. So the questions are going to be different, but format-wise, you are looking at exactly the same document. Right? And I promised I would post that on the... actually, you know what I can do is I can pull it up right here. Term 3 practice exam. And I can copy this. Make sure I don't have any of the answers in here. And I can put it in this document. Oh, let's go. And now it's a one-stop shop. Hey, how about that? That's right. So that'll be waiting for people who want it. So just a recap of all the participles, right? We have present active, that was ponens, ponentis, which is placing. Perfect passive, which is positus apum, which is placed. Future active, positurus apum, which is about to place. And future passive, ponendus apum, must be placed. So one of those things is not like the others in terms of its endings, in terms of its declension. So which one is the odd one out? Are you Googling gerundives? Yes, ponendi is a gerund / a gerundive. Yeah, you guys have hijacked this. And thank you, Toast. Present active is the odd one out, right? Because present active uses third declension endings, and all the others use us, aum. So on the noun adjective stuff, right, in sentences or in the charts or whatever, you only use third declension endings on this guy. So ponens, ponentis, ponenti, ponentem, ponenta. Ablative singular could go either way. It could be ponenta or ponenti. The plurals be ponentes, ponentium, ponentibus, ponentes, ponentibus. Whereas these guys are just your standard first and second declension, us, I, o, o, or a, I, am, a, or e-o, o. Easy, easy endings that I know you know. So for the noun adjective stuff, third declension adjectives definitely going to be present, right? So make sure that you go back through, right, knowing an adjective like, for instance, Felix, Felicus, right, which means happy, versus an adjective like dulcus dulce, which means sweet, versus an adjective like acer acris acre, which means sharp. These are the three different varieties, right? And what is different? What am I looking at here with an adjective like Felix versus an adjective like dulcus versus an adjective like acer? What's the difference between these three? Terminations, which means, by the way, Felix is one termination. I guess I'll write out the word. One termination. That means that Felix, masculine, feminine, neuter. Right? Two terminations, like dulcus, right? Dulcus is masculine, feminine. Dulce is neuter. And three terminations means you have three different forms, right? Acer is masculine, acris is feminine, and acre is neuter. So one termination gives me the genitive. Where is the genitive for the other guys? Where's the genitive for dulcus and the genitive for acer? How do I find it? By the way, we've been going like almost an hour. No one's noticed that the background is gone. You guys notice when like one hair is out of place on a teacher's head and you're like, did you get a haircut? No one noticed the green, the legendary green background is gone. Really? Yeah, that's my wife's closet. I say it's my wife's because I have like this much of it. So technically one part of it is mine. My exciting wardrobe. Still waiting for someone to answer my question though. Where's the genitive? How do I know what the genitive is for these two termination or three terminations? The wait continues. Same as the feminine nominative singular. Dante, I want your like Dante quick, here's how we do it. Which one is it? It's the one that ends in what? It's the one that ends in is. Because anything third declension, nouns, adjectives, anything, the genitive always ends in is. So that's why they got to give it to you here, Felicus, because Felix does not end in is. Dulcus, dulce, we already got it. It's here, dulcus. And acer, acris, acre, we already got it. It's acris. So when you go to decline these, the genitive for all the genders. Yeah. Now, Dante's going to talk about Greek words that have been imported into the language that retain their Greek endings. He might also mention nouns that only exist in the plural. So those would have or ium as their genitive. So if you want to call those exceptions, sure. but a standard Latin-based third declension noun or adjective, the genitive ends in is. That's a pretty hard and fast rule. The declensions don't like to vary too much, especially in the genitive. Still waiting for Dante to find a third exception that I didn't think of. He'll get one, though. All right, so we covered participles, how to make them, how to translate them. Adjectives, right? You've got some old worksheets that you guys can go back to. It's a lot of participles. Pretty much every section is going to have participles, so they kind of go throughout. Verb synopses, we've done quite a few of those for practice. Yeah, there are a few of them. I feel like it's a lot of second declension ones that do that. I can't think of too many like third declension. We've still got a couple of minutes. Can we do one verb synopsis? Absolutely. Microsoft Word is busted for me right now, so I'm just trying to think real quick. If I have I think I have slides. Let's see. Let's take a verb synopses. Draft verb synopses. Is it this one? Maybe it's this one. Yeah, I think this is it. Okay. I always got slides. Always got some slides. So I am going to have to add in some participles here, so give me a second. All right, while I'm getting these slides ready, Sloan, you pick the verb. Ooh, relinquo. I'm so used to doing these on Keynote that I have to remember how to like participles, present, perfect, future. Duco's got the funky imperative, and I think we've actually done Duco on a... I feel like we've done Duco before on a synopsis. Not to say we can't do it again, but... So I just got to get my colors right here. All about the color coding. Make this white. There. Let's see. Fugio doesn't really exist in the passive. Having been fled. I like relinquo. I know it's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's a good verb. Relictus, to leave. And let's do third. I mean, third singular is always a good one. Third singular and neuter. Let's go with that. All right. Yeah, let's do it. Hide this. Make it a little bit easier for you guys to see, but I can't. God, Google Slides. Still trying to figure it out. All right. No, don't do that. All right, so it's a third conjugation verb, relinquo, relinquere. Right, so the stem is going to be like relinquo, right? It's going to have that QU. So my present active form, if you guys want to just throw forms in the chat, you are, more than welcome to do that. Sidebar. There's a way for me to make the sidebar go away, but I fear I'll never find it again if I do that. If I make this, yeah, we'll do that. All right, I will fill in some forms here. Why are all these text boxes now? Yeah, Google Slides. You're really selling me right now. So that looks good there, Sloan. Relinquit. These boxes aren't going to be... Google Slides. You're killing me. Relinquit and relinquitur. Relinquebat and relinquebatur. The I, Jaden, because it's third conjugation. And for third conjugation, that little E for the present becomes an I, right? Like deco would be decit, ducit, conit, agit. Those third conjugation. Because the E shows up in the future, right? So in the future, you have relinquet and relinquetur. So you get the I in the present, you get the E in the future. That's kind of the pattern. Yep, exactly, Sloan. Relinquet for the future active, and then relinquetur for the passive. For perfect, we're going to use... Oh, I lost my colors here. It really doesn't like that. Oh, well. We're going to go without the colors today. Reliquit. Is it reliqui? Reliquit. I'm not sure if there's a long mark there. Reliquit, reliquerat, and reliquerit. All right? So we're using that third principal part there. And then for perfect passive, I'm going to use the fourth principal part, relictus. But I need to make it singular and neuter so that it agrees. And what would that be? Nice. Fourth PP, we're going to change it to relictum to make it neuter and singular, and then we're just going to pair it with est. So relictum est, relictum erat, and relictum erit. And it's auto-correcting me on these capitalizations, so there's nothing fancy about the fourth PP. So in all of its glory, it looks like this. Relinquit, relinquitur, relinquebat, relinquebatur, relinquet, and relinquetur. Perfect active, we use third principal part. Reliquit, reliquerat, reliquerit. And then perfect passive, we use fourth principal part. Relictum est, relictum erat, relictum erit. And something that has been left behind, like from a previous era, maybe something that you dig up, we call it a relic from that fourth PP. All right. Now how am I going to exit the slideshow? Down here. The imperatives, why did it default this to black text? It's so bizarre. The imperatives would be relinqua. Guys, formatting is the worst thing on planet Earth. It's always formatting. I spend so much of my life formatting things. So we have relinqua and relinquita. It's mainly because right before I started the stream, Microsoft Office decided it didn't want to work anymore. So all my Word docs and everything, I couldn't open them. Otherwise, I just copy and paste. I have old stuff, but I was trying to troubleshoot that, and I didn't want to take too much time. And now the participles, the new kids on the block. For neuter singular, we can just say relinquanes, right? We can just do the singular form. We don't have to do anything fancy to it. We're going to put an X in this box and an X in this box because they don't exist. For perfect passive, we're just going to put relictum, right? Neuter singular. Relicturum over here. And reliquendum over here. So I'll put that in slideshow mode so it's easier to see. Here we go. Oh, and I realize I have a typo. Relinquendum. Missed that. There we go. Relinquenes for the present active, relictum, relictorum, and then relinquendum. $4:35. I know I started a couple minutes late, but any questions before we take off? Dante, by the way, I'm going to send you a line to scan if you're still here. I'm even going to ping you. I just sent you a line on Discord to scan. Scan the dactylic hexameter. Favorite color? Blue, most of the time. Depends on the day, but I'm pretty partial to blue. Particularly like this kind of blue. I think blue has some very good range. Oh, I like Blue Jays blue. I don't know, there are too many blues. I don't think there are too many blues I don't like. It has such a... It must be, Sloan, because it just doesn't occur in nature very much. It is a pretty exotic color. I mean, obviously, like the sky. But, like, there really aren't any blue foods. You don't really, like... There's no blue, like... You know. Royals blue. Like that powder blue. I like it because the Rays will sometimes wear it. Like on their Sunday uniforms, they'll wear a powder blue. Duke. Carolina blue. All right, kiddos. I'm going to cut the video here. Keep it around an hour. And if you have any questions, I'll pop over to Discord. And I'll be around for a little while. So let me know if you need me. All right, guys. Have a good one. I'll see most of you tomorrow.